Hello, students. Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Shall we start the class or wait for some time? Today, you'll be having C3 class also. Okay. Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, today you are going to have C3 class also.
Who will take the C3 class, ma'am?
Sridhar sir is going to take. So you'll have it in the allotted time as well as also in the evening. So Kishore sir will send you a link. So you attend that regular class at that particular time and also in the evening after all the 4 classes are over. Then you'll have at what time I don't know exactly, but sir will pass on the link.
Okay.
Okay. So today you'll have 2 classes and tomorrow you'll have 2 classes of C3 because tomorrow is the last day, no? So try to attend the class. Okay.
Okay.
Shall we start the class? Yes. Shall we start? Okay. So we will start the class now. Till last class, in the last class, we have discussed about the diversity of organ systems in invertebrates. Now today we are going to talk about the diversity of organ systems in vertebrates. As you all know, vertebrates are nothing but the chordates, so which includes fishes, amphibians, reptiles, aves, mammals. So all these will come under the vertebrates, that is nothing but the chordates. So now we are going to deal the what do you say, the diversity of the organ systems as we have seen in the invertebrates. In case of invertebrates, okay, the same way we are going to see the diversity of the organ systems with reference to the integument, with reference to circulatory system, okay, respiratory system. So today we will discuss about first the integument. Now, okay, are you able to see the slide? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, now we are going to start with the integument. You all know integument is nothing but the skin. So it is actually applied to the outermost protective covering, it is called as. So it is outermost protective covering of the animal body. We can also call as the skin. Skin or the integument means one and the same. So the skin not only includes the integument, that is outer protective covering, but at the same time to have a number of derivatives which are actually associated with the skin. So it includes such as conjunctivity of the eyeballs, then external surface of the eardrums. Apart from that, the skin or the integument is also continuous with the mucous epithelial lining of the mouth, rectum, nostrils, eyelids, as well as the urinogenital ducts. So the integument or the skin, no doubt it is the outermost protective covering of the animal body, also called as the skin. It includes all this, what do you say, the covering, that is outer covering, that is the conjunctivitis of eyeballs, then external surface of the eardrums, along with the epithelial lining of mucous epithelial lining of the mouth, rectum, nostrils, eyelids, as well as the urinogenital ducts. So this integument or the skin has plays a very significant role. So it has a lot of functions. So in what way actually this integument or the covering, you can say outermost covering, or you can say the skin, helps the animal or protects the animal in the various ways. So it performs a number of functions. So what are these functions? We'll see. So actually it is jack of all trades. They call it as jack of all trades because it is the most important, what do you say, the organ which protects the animal, not only from the enemies and also from the infection and all those things. So it plays a very important role in an animal's body. So first one is the nothing but the protection. So it separates the animal from its external environment. So it will help in the protection. So how does it protect the animal is it protects the body against a variety of mechanical as well as chemical injuries, and also will reach, okay, so with that reach actually that will result, or that will result from the pressure, friction, blows, harmful gases as well as the fluids. So it helps in the protection. So it protects the body against a variety of what do you say, the injuries. It may be mechanical injury or a chemical injury, okay, that result from the pressure that result from the friction, blows, harmful gases, as well as the fluids. Then it also, actually, it has got a lot of derivatives, I told you know. So the protective derivatives such as the scales, bony plates, fat, feathers, hairs, etc., they reduce the force of injury. So, and they prevent excessive loss of the body moisture also, and they do not allow the entry of the harmful bacteria as well as the fungi and other different foreign bodies. So, it not only helps against the various chemical and the mechanical injuries, but it also helps because the integument, I told you, it has got lot of derivatives. That is, they are nothing but the what do you say, the extensions of the body covering, external body covering or the integument, such as the presence of scales, bony plates, fat, feathers, hairs, etc. So because of the presence of these protective derivatives, what it will do, it will reduce the force of injury. So it will prevent the excessive loss of the body moisture and also do not allow the entry of the harmful bacteria as well as the fungi and other foreign bodies. Next is now here pelage. That means fur. Plumage is nothing but the feathers, bristles or the spines, claws, nails, hooves. Then you have antlers, horns, etc. They serve for offense as well as a defense. So the integumentary derivatives in the form of fur, because certain animals will be having the fur, some animals will be having the feathers, some animals will be having the bristles or if spines or claws, nails, okay, then hoofs, antlers, horns, etc. So the presence of these actually help the animal or serve the animal for the offense as well as for the defense mechanism. Next is, you all know actually the external covering. Also in some of the animals it is colored. So the protective coloration or the camouflage, okay, which is present on the integument or the skin serves to escape the detection by the enemies. So this also helps in one way. Then lastly, the skin pigments are also present, which will protect against the solar radiation. So this is the first and the foremost function of the integument is nothing but what? It is protection. So it protects the the animals from various mechanical injuries, chemical injuries. Then it also has got derivatives. Just now I have told you because of the presence of the scales, plates, fat, feathers, fur, then hairs. Okay, so all these actually play a very, very important role. Then nails, horns, etc. So they not only serve for the offense and defense mechanism, but at the same time, what it will try to do, it will try to reduce the force of injury and also prevent excessive loss of the body moisture. And lastly, some of the animals, majority of the animals actually are colored. So they have that protective coloration which is being present on the integument also will serve to escape the detection by the enemies. And also some of the pigments are also present which will protect against the radiation. So this is the first one. Second one is what? Locomotion. Now locomotion, how what way does it help in locomotion? You all actually the fishes. The fishes actually have got the fins. Now these fins consist of the fin rays. So the fin rays, the dermal fin rays which are present in the fins of the fishes and also the skin webs which are present in the feet of frogs, turtles, aquatic birds, etc. They help in swimming in the water. They help in the swimming in the water. So likewise, you have adhesive pads which are present in the amphibians and claws which are present in the amniotes. The claws which are present on the digits, they also help in the climbing. Now, the feathers on the wings, okay, and the short tail of the birds and the cutaneous vertebrae or the wings of the bats and the flying lizards and squirrels also help in the flying. So, because of this presence of the integument, the derivatives, now they not only help the animal from the protection, but also they will help in the locomotion. So locomotion, how it will help in the locomotion, just now we have seen that is, first of all, in the fishes, you have fins. These fins consist of the fin rays. So the fin rays help in the locomotion. Likewise, you have in the frogs, feet of frogs, you have skin webs, and also in the turtles you find, and also in the aquatic birds, they help in the swimming in water. Then some of the amphibians possess adhesive pads and claws are present on the digits, okay, so which also help in the climbing. And the feathers or the wings and also the presence of short tail in the birds and also the wings of the bats and the flying lizards also help them in the flying mechanism. Now, this is the second one. Now coming to the third one, that is dermal endoskeleton. Now you all know skin contributes to the bony dermal armor such as in the extinct osteoderm and placoderms, as well as the living sturgeon. Actually, the integument will give a structure to the organisms. Okay, so the skin contributes to the bony dermal armor Okay, and also that is being found out actually in the extinct ostracoderms, placoderms, the living sturgeons, crocodiles, as well as the turtles. Now, dermal endoskeleton actually in the head, then it will shield the brain and also the sense organs. It will protect the brain and also the sense organs, and it also prevents the compression of the soft internal organs, which is being present inside the body and also forms the parts of the teeth. So this is how actually the presence of the dermal endoskeleton on the integument also serves the animal or also invariably helps the animal. The next is what? Secretion. Now the integument actually processes the glands. Okay, the skin glands we call it as number of skin glands are present. Okay, these glands actually what do? Is they secrete the substances. They secrete the substances, and these substances actually help the animal in several uses. Like you have, for example, mucus glands. Mucus glands in the aquatic forms. Actually, fishes, frogs, what do they have? They possess actually in their skin the mucus glands. Now, the secretion of these, the mucus glands always keep the skin moist and slippery. So, always if you touch a fish or if you touch a frog, they will be slippery. Always, actually, they'll be slimy nature. Always, the mucus will be present on their body. So, it will be slippery in nature. You cannot hold it tight. So because of the presence of the secretions from the mucus glands. Next is what? The poisonous, bitter, or the offensive secretions, which are also some of the animals they secrete. So this also what it will try to do, it will try to ward off the potential enemies. That means it will try to help them from the enemies. So because of the presence of these, the poisonous, bitter, or the secretions from these animals, the enemies will not come nearer to it. The next, uropygeal glands of the birds secrete oil for preening feathers. Now, you all know actually the birds have got the uropygeal glands, and these glands they secrete the oil which will help in preening the feathers. The next is oil from the sebaceous glands of mammals. You all know actually in the mammals, the skin of mammals possesses the sebaceous glands. So these will lubricate the skin as well as the hairs. So, and also not only this, the sebaceous glands actually secrete the sebum. So this sebum contains the fatty acids as well as the lactic acids, which brings down the pH of the skin to 3. And also it creates a hostile environment for the growth, multiplication, as well as the survival of the microbes. So this is how they actually the sebum will help. So the sebaceous glands, you find it in the mammals. Now these sebaceous glands actually will secrete a sebum, and because this sebum, what it will try to do, it will lubricate the skin as well as the hairs, and it also contains the fatty acids and the lactic acids, which brings down the pH and also creates a favorable environment, we can say, for the growth, multiplication, as well as the survival of the microorganisms. Apart from these, you also have the secretions of the integument in the form of mammary glands. Now, you all know actually the mammary glands are present in the mammals. So, these mammary glands, they manufacture the milk for the nourishment of the young ones. For the nourishment of the young ones. So the odors of the sweat glands, they attract the opposite sex. Okay. So first one is the mammary glands. Fifth one. So the mammary glands, what do? They provide nourishment. Okay. They provide nourishment for the young ones. And apart from this, the integument also, give some odor. That is the smell. See these odors of scent glands. They attract the opposite sex. So the secretions, okay, in the form of odors from the sex glands, also scent glands, also will try to attract the opposite sex. Then you have tears from the lacrimal glands of the eye, which wash the conjunctiva of the mammalian eyeball, and the glands of auditory meatus. So that is the ear, which will secrete ear wax, that is called as the cerumen, to grease the eardrums and also to entrap the insects that enter into the canal. So this is how actually the secretions, from the integument help the animal in a variety of ways. Yes, students, are you all listening? Is it okay? Hello.
Yes,
okay. So next is what? Food storage. Now the food storage, again, you all know actually the thick fatty layer of blubber. Under the skin, actually, you have a thick fatty layer, which is basically called as the blubber. So what it will try to do, this fatty layer of the blubber under the skin, it will seal, the skin of seals and the whales. Actually, they are present in the whales as well as in the seals. So they serve as an insulator. Okay, so they serve as insulation as well as the reserve food. So the animals also will try to accumulate the subcutaneous fat prior to hibernation as well as a migration. So the food storage. So the food storage in what way? Actually, the blubber in the form of a fatty layer which is present under the skin of the seals and as well as the whales, it serves as an insulator or serves as an insulation as also as well as a reserve food material. So the animals actually will try to accumulate this fat, subcutaneous fat prior to hibernation as well as the migration. I mean, they try to store the food. Okay, so when they go for hibernation or when they go for migration. The next is what? Temperature control. So the skin also controls the temperature. So especially in the warm-blooded animals, the presence of fur, feathers, as well as the scales, they help. Okay, it acts as an insulator. So it will insulate and conserve the body heat in a cold climate. Okay, then sweat glands of the mammals also provide the cooling by evaporation in the summer. Then also for elimination of heat, integumentary blood vessels will be present which dilate so that the skin becomes a radiator. So for conservation of heat, the vessels will constrict, and these all devices will help in the homeothermy or in the maintenance of the constant body temperature. So that is how actually the temperature is being controlled in the warm-blooded or in the homeothermic animals. Okay. Next is what? Excretion. So apart from these, control of temperature, apart from the various functions, now the integument also helps in the excretion, like excess of water, excess of the salts, as well as the urea. They are also eliminated in the form of sweat. So they are eliminated in the sweat. Further, the gills of the fishes, that is especially marine fishes, they contain chloride secreting cells. They contain the chloride secreting cells. Then shedding of the skin during the ecdysis, that is during the molting of the insects, also will get rid of the metabolic waste. So like this, in different animals, the integument or the skin serves the purpose of excretion. The next is what? Sensation. Now, apart from this, even if you touch the skin, actually, the skin actually will get sensation. So it also helps in the, sensation mechanism. So the cutaneous nerve endings as well as other sense organs which are present in the skin, they are being stimulated by touch, by pain, changes in the pressure, moisture, extremes of heat and cold, as well as the chemicals. So in their absence, now these animals may starve or may be destroyed by an enemy. So the presence of sense organs, or you can say the nerve endings and the other sense organs actually which are being present in the integument, they get stimulated on touch, on pain, or whenever you come across any change in the pressure or the moisture or heat or cold as well as the chemicals. So you feel a sensation. So in that way, actually, you can try to protect your body. And if these are absent, then the animals actually will get destroyed. The next is what? Sexual selection. So sometimes even the brilliantly colored skins, antlers of the male deer, long tail of the converts of the peacock, etc., will also lead to sexual dimorphism, and they also serve to attract the females for mating. So it also serves for the purpose of the sexual mating. Then next is, apart from all these, so these are all the major the functions of an integument or a skin. So this is not only confined to any vertebrate animal, it is in general. So you can say that the skin or the integument performs these major functions. Now, apart from this, you have many other functions like miscellaneous functions, like you have vitamin D is being synthesized by the skin. So vitamin D is synthesized in the mammalian skin from the sebum of sebaceous glands in the ultraviolet light. Apart from that, the brood pouches under the skin, present under the skin of some fishes as well as the amphibians, also they protect the unhatched eggs. Then the nasal glands of the tetrapods also keep the nostrils free of water as well as the dirt. Then amphibians and other aquatic animals, they also carry on the respirations. You all know actually the respiration also occurs through the integument of the skin. So such a type of respiration, we call it as cutaneous respiration. So especially amphibians and other aquatic animals, they can respire through their richly vascular skin. Then the skin also shows selective absorption of the oils, ointments, iodine, and other beneficial the beneficial sun rays, etc. Then special types of enzymes are also being produced by the larvae of some fishes as well as the frogs. So this is how actually the skin or the integument performs various functions in the chordates or in the vertebrates. Okay, so this is about the generalized functions we can see. Now we'll talk about the structure of the integument in general. So it is not confined to any vertebrate, as I told you. So it is in general the structure of a the integument. Later on, we'll go to one by one the different vertebrates, how actually the diversity you find it in the with reference to integument in different vertebrate species. Okay, is it okay, students? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Now, till now, we have talked about the various functions of the integument. Now, we'll talk about the structure of the integument. Now, coming to the structure of an integument, you all know actually, now it has a basic plan. So, it is a multicellular and it differs from that of the invertebrates in having two layers. Okay. So, here the integument or the skin of the vertebrate, you say, it consists of two layers. An outer is called as the epidermis, which is derived from the ectoderm, and an inner is called as a dermis, which is derived from the mesoderm. So the related abundance of the two layers differs according to the environment. Now see, so we can say that the integument or the skin bears the two layers. Then outer layer you call it as epidermis, which is derived from the ectoderm, and an inner layer is called as a dermis, which is derived from the mesoderm. Now coming to the epidermis, we'll see what it is. So the epidermis actually is made up of stratified epithelium, and it is very thin when compared to that of dermis. It is further distinguished into two regions. Outermost region, which consists of many layers of dead, usually flattened, that is squamous cells, forming a horny resistant covering called as stratum corneum on the skin surface. Then its cells will accumulate a hormone. So its cells will contain a protein which is called as a keratin, and they gradually die and eventually they wear off in the form of scurf or dandruff. Since keratin is tough and insoluble in water, the keratinate stratum actually will provide protection against the injuries, fungal infections, as well as the bacterial attacks and also the body moisture. Then the innermost or the basal region of the epidermis, it consists of what? A single row of living columnar cells. Whereas actually the keratin, the outermost region consists of what? Dead cells, dead flattened squamous cells. So here, which is called as a keratin, and it consists of a stratum corneum. Okay, whereas the innermost or the basal region of the epidermis consists of a single ray of living columnar cells, which is called as a Malpighian layer or the stratum germinativum. Stratum germinativum, which is being separated from the underlying dermis by means of a basement membrane. So here, the cells, since they are live, they actively divide and they are being continuously replaced, okay, by the worn-out cells of the cornified layer. So the epidermis is thin in the aquatic vertebrates and rich in the mucus glands. So it is thicker in land vertebrates and structures such as scales, feathers, heads, nails, claws, horns, and the enamel of teeth, which is derived from the Malpighian layer. So we can say that now the integument or the skin consists of two layers. What are those? One is called as the outer epidermis, derived from the ectoderm, and the inner is the dermis, which is derived from the mesoderm. Now, when we talk about the epidermis, it is a stratified epithelium. It is thin when compared to that of the dermis. It is distinguished further into two regions. Outermost region consists of many layers of dead cells, dead flattened squamous cells. Okay, and they form a covering which is called as stratum corneum on the skin surface. And they produce a protein which is called as the keratin. And these cells usually they die and eventually wear off. Okay, and since they contain the keratin is tough and it is insoluble in water. So this will provide protection against the mechanical injuries, fungal infections, as well as the bacterial infections. The innermost layer of the epidermis consists of what? A single row of living columnar cells or Malpighian layer, also called as stratum germinativum. Now, it is actually being separated from the dermis by means of a basement membrane. Its cells are live, so it actively divide and they are being continuously replaced by the worn-out cells. Now, epidermis is actually we say it is thin in aquatic vertebrates, but and is rich in mucus glands. It is thick in land vertebrates, and the presence of structures, you all know just now we have seen like scales, feathers, hairs, nails, claws, horns, as well as enamel of teeth. They are derived from this Malpighian. Okay. Now next is the dermis. Now the dermis, also called as the corium, Now, the dermis or the corium is the innermost layer of the skin. It is thicker when compared to that of epidermis. It is composed of fibrous connective tissue and contains many blood capillaries, lymph vessels, muscle fibers, nerve fibers, sense organs, elastic fibers, and it brings the skin back to its normal shape. So it has got a number of what is it is thicker when compared to that of dermis. So it possesses fibrous connective tissue containing many blood capillaries, lymph vessels, muscle fibers, nerve fibers, you can say elastic fibers, sense organs, and all those things. Okay, so it gives a normal shape to the skin. The pigment cells or melanocytes are also present in this dermis, and sometimes the pigment granules are also found in this. In the epidermis, they say. Okay, the fat may accumulate as reserve food in these special cells in the special cells called as adipocytes in deeper parts of the dermis and in the subcutaneous tissue. So that we can say that below the epidermis you have got the dermis. So the dermis is thicker when compared to that of the epidermis, and this dermis actually consists of the fibrous connective tissue, and it has got a nerve fibers, sensory fibers, muscle fibers. Okay, the different and also it has got the pigment cells. And these pigment cells, they say that some of the pigment cells are also found in the epidermis, but majority of them are found in the the dermis. And these pigment cells actually, they say, are found in the dermis layer. Apart from that, you also have the reserve food material, which is present in the dermis in the form of adipocytes. So adipocyte cells are present in the dermis, which actually consists of nothing but the reserve food. So they are present not only the deeper parts of dermis, but also they are present in the subcutaneous tissue. So this is in general about the structure of the skin or the integument, an overall general view of the integument. Okay. Now we will see, come to the derivatives of the integument. Now I already told you, actually the integument or the skin or the covering, okay, it consists of a number of derivatives. So from the integument only, you see a number of epidermal derivatives. So what are those epidermal derivatives as well as the dermal derivatives? We will see now. Okay. Now, is it okay, students? Yes? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay. Are you following?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Clear, ma'am. Following, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming, oh yeah. Now coming to derivatives of integument. Now, when we talk about the derivatives of integument, now you on actually the skin will be very, very simple, but it has varied number of what do you say, the derivatives are there. They are very numerous, and in some it is they are very, very complex. So depending upon the layer of skin from which they are derived, these structures they fall into different categories, or you can say the derivatives fall into two types. One is called as the epidermal derivatives, because these epidermal derivatives are derived from epidermis, whereas the dermal derivatives actually are derived from dermis, and hence they are called as dermal derivatives. So epidermal derivatives are formed by the epidermis, and these epidermal derivatives include what? Epidermal glands. Then they include what? Hard, horny structures such as epidermal scales, epidermal scutes, beaks, horns, claws, nails and hooves, feathers, as well as the hairs. So all the hard, horny structures, okay, together they form the exoskeleton of the animal, and they are all derived from the epidermis. They are all derived from the epidermis. Now, coming to the dermal derivatives, now these arise from the dermis, and they comprise of bony or the dermal scales, plates or the scutes, fin rays, as well as the antlers. So they are actually formed from this dermis layer, and they consist of what? The bony or the dermal scales, which are present in the fishes, you all know, plates or the scutes, fin rays, as well as the antlers. Now we'll see what are one by one and where actually they are present, in which animal they are found. Now coming to the epidermal glands, already we have seen integumental or the epidermal glands. They are formed by the malphizian layer of epidermis. Now they arise in epidermis, but they often invade in dermis. So though they arise in the epidermis, but they have their roots in the dermal layer. So they may be unicellular or multicellular. They may be tubular or alveolar in shape. They may be simple, compound, or branched. So they are lined by cuboidal cells or the columnar epithelial cells, and they are usually named after their nature or the function. Okay, after the nature or the function. So about 9 types of these epidermal glands have been identified. Now we'll see one by one what are those. That is, okay. Now coming to the first one, that is the mucous glands. Now we are talking in general about the epidermal glands. What are epidermal glands? They are derived from the epidermis. That is nothing but the malphizian layer of the epidermis. They say though they are actually arise from the epidermis, but they have their roots from the dermis. They may be unicellular or multicellular, tubular or alveolar in shape. They may be simple, compound, or as well as branched. And they are actually, they may be alveolar in shape, simple, compound, or branched. Okay, and they are lined by cuboidal cells or the columnar epithelial cells. Now we'll see what are the different types of epidermal glands or the epidermal derivatives, we can say, that are being present in the different animals. First one is the mucus glands. Now the mucus glands, actually you all know, they secrete mucin, which forms a slimy or a sticky mucus when we come into contact, when they come into contact with water. Now this mucus, what it will do, it will try to keep always the skin moist. It will keep the skin slippery, and it also protects against the harmful bacteria as well as fungi. They are found abundant. Okay, they are abundantly found in the amphibian skin. They may be unicellular, multicellular. Okay, and also I told you they are also present in the fishes, that is cyclostomes, and also in the beaker cells of Amphioxus. So they are found not only in the what do you say, the amphibians, but also they are found in the fishes, Amphioxus, as well as other cyclostomes fishes. So mucus glands, what is their function? They secrete the mucin, and these mucin, actually it forms a sticky or a slimy mucus. So whenever you come into contact with water, actually, so they form actually a mucus substance, and this mucus, it will try to keep the skin always moist and slippery, and also help them to protect against the harmful bacteria as well as the fungi. So examples you can give: the presence of, okay, so they are abundantly found in the amphibian skin. They are found in, okay, they are found in the amphibian skin, and they are found in the Amphioxus, cyclostomes, as well as the fishes. Now, next is what? The poison glands. Now, coming to the poison glands, the poison glands, actually, they say they are present in many fishes and amphibians. So, many of the fishes, most of the fishes, as well as the amphibians, possess the poison glands. They are nothing but they are the modified multicellular cutaneous glands, and they are larger but fewer than the mucus glands. The parotid glands behind the head of toads are nothing but aggregation of the poison glands. And these, the secretion of the poison glands may be bitter, irritating, and even dangerous to the predators. So the poison glands, where do we find? We find it in fishes as well as in the amphibians. They are nothing but modified multicellular cutaneous glands. Cutaneous means nothing but skin glands only. So they are larger but fewer in number when compared to that of mucus glands, and they are present behind the head of toads. That is, example, parotid glands, which are present behind the head of toads, are aggregation of nothing but the poison glands only. And the secretion of these poison glands, actually, it is somewhat bitter, irritating, and even dangerous to the predators. And the poison glands of the amphibians actually are granular glands, and they are collected into masses called as a parotid glands. And the poison glands secreted by it is alkaloid in nature, and also similar in action like the digitalis. Okay, so this is about the poison glands. The next is what? The luminescent glands or the photophores. Luminescent glands or the photophores means actually which serve as a light emitting organs. Luminescent means emitting light. So the luminescent glands or the photophores. So these are also the epidermal derivatives. So in the deep sea fishes, especially the teleost fishes, that is luminous teleost fishes, certain multicellular epidermal glands are present, which serve as the light emitting organs, which are called as photophores. Photo means light. So they are nothing but they are called as the photophores. That is the light emitting organs are the called as photophores. So only in the deep sea teleost fishes you find the photophores in the form of multicellular epidermal glands. Now, in one type of photophore, I mean, they say the superficial layer of mucus cells form a magnifying lens. Lower or the basal part consists of luminous cells surrounded by luminous cells. The superficial, okay, the superficial layer of the mucus cells, the superficial layer of the mucus cells form a magnifying lens. The lower or the basal part actually consists of luminous cells, which are surrounded below by the reflecting pigment cells, and which is made up of nothing but the granite crystals. So the light emitted is not intense, may be of many hues, and serves to attract the prey. So they can be flashed on and off by the sympathetic nerves, and injections of the adrenaline produce the flashes in some species like the spinads. So we can say here the luminescent glands or the photophores, we find it only in the luminescent, some of the deep sea luminescent, or you can say luminous stereosed fishes. So in the luminous stereosed fishes, you find certain multicellular epidermal glands are present, and these serve the purpose of light emitting organs. So these light emitting organs actually are called as nothing but the photophores. They are called as the photophores. So in one type called as a photophore. So they have identified one type of photophore. In that they are saying that the superficial layer of the mucous cells forms a magnifying lens, whereas the lower part consists of the luminous cells surrounded by the reflecting pigment cells. And the reflector is actually nothing but made up of guanine crystals. So the light is actually emitted by this is not intense, but it serves to attract the prey. And they may be actually flashed on and off by the help of the sympathetic nerves. Okay. The next is what? Femoral glands. Now, the femoral glands actually are being present in the male lizards like Yr-Msc on the ventral surface of each thigh, and their sticky secretions hardens in the air to form temporary tiny spines that serve to hold the female during the copulation. So we can say, example, femoral glands, presence of femoral glands in the male lizards, especially in the Yr-Msc, and the presence of these femoral glands they produce a sticky secretion. So this sticky secretion later on hardens in the air and to form a temporary tiny spine, which help them to hold the female during the copulation. Okay. The next is what? Uropygeal gland. Uropygeal gland again is one of the few integumentary gland which is found in the birds. So it forms a prominent swelling just below, above the tail or the uropygium. So it is branched and alveolar and exudes or actually consists of an oily secretion, and which helps for lubricating the beak, for preening the feathers, and also for attracting the opposite sex during breeding season. And the oil secreted by this actually consists of pomatum, which is picked up by the beak and used for preening as well as waterproofing. So what is the main role of uropygeal gland? Uropygeal gland, we find it in the birds, and it is being present just above the tail or the uropygium. It is branched, alveolar, and actually produces a oily secretion, which is used not only for lubricating the beak, but also for preening the feathers and also for attracting the opposite sex. And the oil that it secretes actually contains pomatum, which is actually taken up by the beak and is used for preening and as well as waterproof. The next is what? The sweat glands. The sweat glands or the sudoriferous glands, sudoriferous we can say. Sweat glands or the sudoriferous glands are nothing but they are abundant in the skin of the most of the mammals. So the sweat glands, you find it in the mammals. Most of the mammals, they are slender coiled tubes which are present deep in the dermis with their long ducts opening on the skin surface. So that is why we can say, though they are a epidermal derivative, most of these the derivatives, they have their roots in the dermis. So they are deeply, present in the dermis, but they are actually being produced by the epidermis. So the sweat glands or the sudoriferous glands are present in most of the mammals. They are slender coiled tubes embedded deep in the dermis with the long ducts opening on the skin surface. Then a little urea and some salts are also eliminated, dissolved in water in the sweat produced by these glands. So the evaporation of the watery perspiration also helps to cool as well as regulate body temperature in the hot environment. So in one way, actually, what it will try to do, the sweat glands, it will try to remove the urea as well as some salt, which is actually dissolved in water in the form of sweat. So through the sweat, actually, you can excrete the urea as well as the salts also. And further, evaporation of the watery perspiration also helps the animal to cool and regulate the body temperature, especially in the hot environment. And the sweat glands actually are absent in the spiny anteaters and the marine forms, such as Sirena and Cetacea. So in many mammals, their distribution actually is restricted. So they say that they occur only on the soles of the feet, like cats and mice, in the lips, in rabbits, muscle and skin between the toes in ruminants, and sides of the head in the bats, ears in hippopotamus, etc. So the male giant kangaroo and hippopotamus, they secrete the red colored sweat. So the ciliary glands in eyelashes and along the margins of the eyelids are also modified sweat glands. So we find the sweat glands in most of the vertebrates, but their main role, just now we have seen, it helps in the excretion, because through the the sweat glands or the sudoriferous glands, actually the sweat is being secreted. So along with the sweat, the what is called the water, not only the water but the salts are also being excreted out in the form of sweat. Okay. Next is what the sebaceous glands. The sebaceous glands are the branched alveolar glands which open into the hair follicles of the mammals, and they open directly onto the skin surface, such as around the genital organs. Then you have the tip of the nose or the edges of the lips. Their oily secretion, called as the sebum, helps the skin and hairs soft, greasy, waterproof, as well as the glistening. So the sebaceous glands, where do we find? They are actually also branched alveolar glands. They open into the hair follicles of mammals. They are often directly open into the skin surface, such as around the genital organs, tip of the nose, or edges of the lips, and all those things. And they produce an oily secretion, which is called as nothing but the sebum, which keeps the skin and the hair soft, greasy, and glistening. Sebaceous glands are absent in pangolins, marine mammals, such as Cetacea, Sirenia, which are practically devoid of hairs. Then ceruminous glands of external ear canals are also modified sebaceous glands. And they produce a waxy or greasy secretion called as cerumen, which helps them to trap the insects or dust particles. Similarly, meibomian glands of eyelids, which spread their oily secretion over the eyeball, are also modified sebaceous glands. So this is about the sebaceous glands. Then next you have the scent glands. Now scent glands are again the modifications either of sebaceous glands or the sudoriferous glands, that is the sweat glands of mammals. So actually scent means they secrete what? Odor. So their odorous secretions actually help them or serve the animals to repel the foes, or repel foes means the enemies, or to attract the members of the opposite sex. So the scent glands may occur between the toes on the feet, like you see it in the goat, rhino, or the horse, or near the eyes on the head, as in deer family, the navel on the abdomen, as in musk deer, mid-dorsally on the back, like kangaroo, rats, as well as the dipodomys, around the anus, chunks, many carnivores, as well as the rodents. So this is also what is their role. They are nothing but modifications of sebaceous or sudoriferous glands, and their odor secretions, you can say odorous secretions, help them to not only get repelled from the enemies, but also to attract the members of opposite sex. Then next is what? In a zoo, many foul odors may not be due to unhygienic conditions, but they are caused by the scent glands of the mammals in the pens as well as in the cages. So, the next is what? Mammary glands. Now, mammary glands actually is exclusively characteristic of the mammals, and these are nothing but the compound tubular glands that produce the milk during the lactation period for the feeding young ones. And usually they occur only on the females, but they are also present on the males in monotremes, primates, and some others. But in monotremes, the mammary glands actually they lack the nipples or the teats and resemble the modified sweat glands. In other mammals, they possess the nipples and are modified sebaceous glands. So the mammary glands actually is a characteristic feature of the the mammals, and they are actually the compound tubular glands. They produce the milk during their lactation period, which helps them for feeding the young. So this is about the diagrammatic representation of the skin of various vertebrates. So this is the Tedios, this is Apoda means your the amphibians. Then you have the snakes, that is the reptiles and all those things. Then lizards, and they have crocodiles. Turtles also, they come under the reptiles. Now distribution and the number of mammary glands and the nipples again vary with the species. Okay, so a nipple is nothing but a raised conical or elongated elevation of the body surface bearing the opening of the milk gland. So in two teats, that is man and the apes, the ducts of mammary glands open on the nipple. In false teats, that is ungulates, all the ducts empty into one cistern from which a single tube leads to the tip of the nipple. The next is, so this is all about, the next you have the epidermal scales as well as the scutes. Now, all the hard, horny structures developed by the accumulation of the scleroprotein known as the keratin. So the scales as well as the scutes they contain. So such cells actually are said to be keratinized or cornified, and they become dead. So all stratum corneum cells are nothing but the cornified and form a all horny exoskeleton in the form of scales, beaks, horns, claws, nails, hooves, feathers, etc. Actually, the epidermal scales, hooves, beaks, horns, claws in the form of claws, nails, hooves, feathers, hairs, and so these are nothing but these are hard horny structures, and actually they are derived or due to the accumulation of a scleroprotein known as the keratin. And this keratin actually you all know actually consists of nothing but a dead cells. So we can say that the epidermal scales, spores, and all those things are nothing but they are derived from the keratin, which is present in the epidermis. Now, reptiles actually have a continuous outer covering in the form of scales. So reptiles actually have a scale that prevents a water loss through skin surface. In lizards also, you find the scales. Even in the snakes, you find the scales. They are overlapping and enlarged or on the head called as the shields, and on the ventral surface you call them as the scutes, which help them in locomotion. In most of the snakes as well as in some lizards, the stratum corneum of the entire body is periodically shed in one piece at a time. So crocodiles and turtles also have got the large thick rectangular scutes. So you can say almost in most of the reptiles you find the scales as well as in the form of scutes. So the scutes of the crocodiles are flubbed. So, and apart from this, you also have the horns. Okay, like you find it in the what is a horned toad, example a lizard. So these are all nothing but the modifications of the stratum corneum in the reptiles. Then in the birds, you also find the epidermal scales are present, which are present on the lower leg, foot, as well as the base of the beak. Again, which is also a modification of the stratum corneum. So reptile-like epidermal scales also occur in some mammals also, such as on the feet as well as the tails of rats and also the beavers. So the large scales on the body also will help them. So all these are nothing but they are the epidermal, what do you say, the derivatives in the form of scales, in the form of scutes, horns, nails, and all those things which are found in different mammals, species, different mammals. Okay, like we have seen in this in case of the reptiles, we have seen in case of aves, and also we have seen in case of the, the snakes. Okay, that is reptiles, aves, as well as the different mammals also. Okay, so now coming to the dermal scales as well as the scutes. Now, till now we have talked about the epidermal scales as well as the scutes. Now we are going to talk about the dermal scales as well as the scutes. So dermal scales and scutes means they actually originate from the dermis. So here bony structures which are developed within the dermis and they are mesodermal in origin actually constitute the dermal scales and scutes. So thick bony scales and the plates are formed, okay, by these dermis, which we see only in the ostracoderms, which are actually already being extinct. So, but they have been retained in reduced form in most of the living fishes, reptiles, as well as in the other mammals. So, in contrast to these horny epidermal scales, the bony dermal scales are also present and they are not shed, but they increase in size during their life by the addition of the new bone. So we can say the dermal scales and the scutes actually they have observed or they have noticed only in case of the ostracoderms, that is in the extinct ostracoderms. But they say that actually they are totally not, what do you say, become extinct, but they have been retained in a reduced form in some of the living fishes, reptiles, as well as in the other vertebrates. So in contrast to these, okay, and these bony dermal scales actually they are not shed, but they increase in size during their life by the addition of the. Okay. Now we'll see the dermal scales of the fishes. One minute. 1 second, students. Sorry, students. Now, coming to the dermal scales of fishes. You all know actually in fishes, the scales are present not only in the fishes, we have also seen in the reptiles, in the different reptiles like turtles. Then we have seen it in the snakes and all those things. Even in the fishes also, you have the scales. Now, as mentioned, so bony or dermal scales actually, they are actually derived from the dermis only. So here in fishes, the overlying epidermis wears off, so the scale will become scales. These scales will become exposed, forming the exoskeleton. So you don't find the epidermal scales, but here in case of the fishes, what happens is the epidermis which is being present, it will actually get shed off, and so that the scales actually will become exposed, and which will form the exoskeleton. So 5 different types of these dermal scales actually have been identified depending upon their structure in fishes. They are called as the cosmoid scales, plecoid scales, ganoid scales, cycloid scales, as well as the ctenoid scales. So scales, presence of scales actually is a characteristic feature of the fishes, you all know. So 5 types of dermal scales actually are being known depending upon their structure. They are cosmoid scales actually, they occur in the extincted low fund fishes like Crossopterygians. Then plecoid scales actually are characteristic feature of elasmobranchs, that is chondrichthyes fishes. Then ganoid scales are present in ganoid fishes, like you have chondristians and holostians. Cycloid scales and ctenoid scales actually are characteristic of the modern teleost fishes. Okay. Then this is about the dermal scales actually of the fishes. Now dermal scales and scutes of tetrapods. Now dermal scales or the bony plates measuring about 1 to 2 mm, called as the osteoderms, are also found embedded in the dermis below the epidermis in some amphibians like Sicilians or Apoda. So they also occur in the back of some tropical toads. So in addition to these epidermal scales and spores, the reptiles, they say, also retain the traces of these bony dermal armor of their ancestors. So a few lizards also possess the small dermal scales. Crocodiles and alligators also have many bony plates embedded in the dermis. Turtles also possess these dermal scales. Okay, and ostracoderms. So many of the mammals, most of the mammals actually also possess the dermal scales. So we can say here is not only the actually the scales are the derivatives or the epidermis, means epidermal scales are present, but even in the fishes, you can say the reptiles, most of the reptiles, you have got the dermal scales are being present. Though actually these dermal scales, they may not be present, or they might have been lost, but some of them actually have been retained and still they exist in few lizards, in few crocodiles, as well as in the alligators, in the form of bony plates. So these bony plates or the dermal scales which are present actually have been retained from their ancestors, and they are still being present in these crocodiles, alligators, as well as the fishes, in the dermis of their present in the dermis of their back as well as in the neck. Okay, so we can. So this is about among the mammals, bony plates or the osteoderms occur in armadillos as well as in the whales also you find. The next is what? The dermal fin rays. Now, dermal fin rays, where are the fins? Now, fishes, you all know, actually possess the fins. So, supporting the fins, you have got the fin rays. So, supporting the fins of the fishes, you have got long, flexible fin rays, which are embedded in the dermis. And in chondrichthyes, they are horny, hair-like, made up of fibrous connective tissue called as ceratotrichia. And in osteichthyes, they are branched, made up of a series of segments of the scales called as lepidotrichia. And they are unsegmented, sharp, and spine-like fin rays are also present, which are called as nothing but actinotrichia. So we can say, what are fin rays? Fin rays are nothing but they are long, flexible, what we say, structures which support the fins that are being present in the fishes, and they are embedded in the dermis. So they are present in chondrichthyes, osteichthyes as well. So based on their structure, they have been named so. So in chondrichthyes, since they are very horny, hair-like, and made up of fibrous connective tissue, they are called as ceratotrichia. Whereas in osteichthyes, they are branched, made up of the segments of scale. They are called epidotrachea. Okay. Whereas the another category, which is unsegmented, sharp, and spine-like, which are called as actinotrachea. Okay. So this is about the interest. The next is what? Digital cornifications. Now, apart from these, the integument or the skin also actually gives off, certain structures in the form of claws, in the form of nails, hooves, etc. So here we see this, we'll see now where are these actually being present. So they are nothing but again the modifications of stratum corneum only at the tips of the digits, and they grow parallel to the skin. Now we'll see what are those digital cornifications and in which animals actually are these found. Now coming to the claws. Now you find the claws, the derivative, that is, you can say the tegumental derivative in the form of claws present in reptiles. We find the claws in reptiles, in birds, as well as in the mammals. Almost they are identical in nature. They are made up of a hard, pointed, narrow, curved, horny dorsal plate called as unguis, and a less hard ventral plate called as the subunguis. So both enclosing the tip of the digit, covering the last tapering phalanx. Okay, so this is about the, see, this is the claw, this is the nail, which we find, and this is the hoof. Okay, now we'll see one by one. So these are the different. So the horns being present. So these are different types of mammalian horns as well as and also the antlers, which you see. Next is nails. Now the claws are modified into nails, okay, which are characteristic of primates, that is mammals. In mammals only you see the nails, and dorsal plate, you can say, or the unguis is broad and flat, while the subunguis is softer and much reduced. So the tip of the digit forms a greatly sensitive and highly vascular pad over the epidermis inverted. So you can say that actually what are claws? Nails. Nails are nothing but the modified claws. So the claws are modified into nails, which are actually characteristic of the primate, and they are broad and flat. Okay. Then coming to hooves. Hooves are characteristic of the ungulates that we call as the hoofed animals. And here, this hoofed anguis is neither pointed nor flat, but it is U or V shape. Okay. And for example, you see it in horse. Okay, the horseshoe can be nailed into it. So subungual, so the tip of the digit. So apart from these, the other modifications of these are you find whalebone plates of toothless whales and many horny coverings of the horns of sheep as well as the cattle. So this is about the hooves. The next is what? Horns. Now horns are again found in the hoofed animals, like you have Artiodactyla as well as Perissodactyla. They are present on their head region and they form organs of offense as well as the defense. So at least 5 different types of horns they have been recognized, but they are not all of them are not true horns, but they are the product of nothing but the stratum corneum. So what are they will see now? They are the true horns. True horns actually are the hollow horns. They usually occur in both the sexes, in goats, sheep, cattle, as well as in the others. Whereas you have prong horns, the horns of prong horn antelopes. In antelopes actually, but they are not true horns. Then you have antlers. Antlers are characteristic of deer family. They are present only in the deer and they are found only on the males, but on both the sexes in reindeer as well as in the caribou. Okay, and the antlers you find it only in the ears. Then you have giraffe horns. The horns of giraffes are stunted and branched, and they are permanent antlers present in both the sexes. Then you have hair horns. Hair horns or fiber horns, which are found in the rhinoceros of both the sexes. So likewise, you have different, the modifications, that is epidermal, the derivatives, integumental derivatives that you find in the form of the, the horns. Okay. Now, next coming to feathers. Now, again, in feathers, if you talk about, the feathers are present only in the birds. So, birds, characteristic feature of birds is nothing but the feathers, and they are covered by the feathers, which are not found in any other group of the animal. So, they are dry, non-living, and they are cornified products of stratum corneum of the epidermis. So, these unique structures actually they are light in weight, but they are strong, elastic, and waterproof. So, that is the reason actually the birds' feathers, though they are light, and this lightweight feathers only actually makes the birds to fly. So it is one of the presence of what do we say, the lightweight feathers is nothing but an adaptation for the what do you say, the birds to fly. Okay, so they are dry, non-living, quantified products of stratum corneum of epidermis, and they're light in weight but strong enough, elastic and waterproof. They show different colors due to the presence of various pigments. Okay, and also structural arrangement. So they mainly streamline and protect the body, conserve the body heat, and also make broad surfaces of the wings and tail used for the flight. Okay, and feathers are molted also, and they are replaced seasonally. So generally, three types of feathers actually have been identified. They are called as the contour feathers, contour, that is down plumules, and phylloplumules, that is hair-like. So you can say three types, that is contour feathers, down feathers, that is plumules, and phylloplumules, that is the hair-like feathers. Okay, so this is about the feathers. Now next, coming to the hairs. Now see, we see now hairs again are characteristic of mammals. They cover the entire body. Okay, in case of furred animals, or maybe reduced to patches here and there, as in man, or it may be to scattered hairs like in whales. Like scales and feathers, hair also are the conified epidermal products of the integument. All the hairs covering the body of a mammal, they are known as pelage. Okay, so it is periodically lost again by molting and also replaced by a new one. Okay, so the structure of the hair you can talk about here. So each hair will originate from the bottom of a invagination called as a hair follicle. So it has got a dermal papilla or a hair papilla is present, and a shaft is present. Okay, so all these you need to talk about. So this is all about the integument, you can say, or all about the skin, which we have seen in the mammals. So we have seen the functions, we have seen the structure, and also apart from the structure, not only the skin or the integument consists of the epidermis as well as the dermis, but also the skin or the integument is modified, you can say, in the form of various derivatives. Okay, like you have the horns, scales, scutes, antlers, all those things. Okay, so till now we have seen. Now we will see the integument in different classes of the chordates or in different classes of the vertebrates out there. Is it okay, students? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we will see. Now till now we have talked about what is integument or the skin, structure of an integument, functions of an integument. Okay, and also we have seen what are the various derivatives of the skin. Now we will see how actually this integument of the skin is being present in different chordate classes. Now here, so although the structure of the skin, they say, remains almost similar in almost in all the vertebrates, but variations occur in the presence or absence of the dermal bones, or relative abundance of the glands in aquatic forms, and specializations of stratum corneum or surface layer of epidermis. Now coming to the lower chordates, that is protochordates, in balanoglossus and in branchiostoma, that is the integument or the skin is very, very simple, and it lacks the keratin. Just remember that in lower vertebrates, that is in the balanoglossus, that is protochordate, balanoglossus and tracheostoma, here you don't find the keratin. The skin is very, very simple and it lacks the keratin. Outer epidermis is very, very thin. It is made up of a single layer of tall or columnar cells and often ciliated cells. So this is almost similar to that of invertebrates. Okay, because it is stratified in almost all the higher chordates. Here only we see only the columnar. Okay, then there are numerous unicellular epidermal gland cells are present. It secretes a thin cuticle in the amphioxus. Dermis or the corneum is gelatinous in amphioxus. Okay. Then in cyclostomata, keratin does not occur in the epidermis, which differs from that of protochordates, but it resembles that of higher chordates in being multi-layered and more durable. Apart from this, they say epidermis contains three types of secretory cells or unicellular glands, like mucus glands you have. Okay. Then below the epidermis, you have the layer of collagen and the elastic fibers, which forms the cutis. And apart from that, you also have the pigment cells. The next, in fishes, the epidermis is several layered, but simple, thin, and without a typical stratum corneum. Stratum corneum as an adaptation to life in water. And epidermis is quite rich in unicellular goblet cells or mucus gland cells which secrete the mucus, which reduces the friction between the body surface and water and also protects them from the bacterial or as well as fungal infection. A few multicellular epidermal glands called as poison glands and also light emitting organs called photopores are also present in this. Then apart from this, epidermis is typical, but all are made up of connective tissue fibers. Okay, this is with reference to fishes. And then you have, and we can talk about the different types of scales that are being present in the fishes, which is a characteristic feature. Then coming to amphibians, now typical amphibian skin is present. Now it is thin and less intimately attached to the underlying muscles. Okay, then the skin is modified from that of fishes in at least possessing different structures. In aquatic form, stratified epidermis exhibits a thin stratum corneum of flat and dead keratinized cells. So amphibians actually are the lowest vertebrate groups having abundant multicellular skin glands. So they have abundant multicellular skin glands rather than unicellular. And these glands, skin glands, you all know, they secrete the mucus, which always keep the skin moist and also permit the respiratory gaseous exchange. Then apart from that, they also have the parotid glands. And the skin of the extinct amphibians, they are heavily armored with the dermal scales, which are absent in the modern amphibian, we can see. So this is about the amphibians. Then coming to reptiles. Reptiles are the first true land vertebrates, you all know, and their integument shows many modifications and many terrestrial habitat adaptations. Because the reptiles actually are the first land vertebrates. Now till now we have seen whatever the animals that are actually that is especially fishes. So they are totally aquatic. Whereas when we talk about the reptiles, they are totally the land vertebrates. So in the vertebrates, in the reptiles, actually, what do you find is they have got a lot of, what do you say, the integument has undergone several adaptations. So what are these adaptations? We'll see one by one. One is the stratum corneum is thicker, making the skin dry and prevent any loss of body moisture. So here the stratum corneum is very, very thick. So it will not allow, it makes the skin dry and it also prevent any loss of body moisture. And it is variously modified to form horny epidermal scales covering the body. Then it not only forms the scales, but forms the spines, shields, scutes, plates in the form of claws, horns, beaks, rattles, etc., forming the exoskeleton. So these are actually periodically they shed off in small bits or even in single bits, and later on they will be replaced by the what do you say, again the new molting. So in addition to these horny epidermal structures, reptiles also retain their bony dermal armor of their ancestors, okay, in the form of bony dermal scales, scutes, or plates, called as osteoderms in the dermis. And apart from this, they also have few integumentary glands, with the exception of the scent glands. Then some of like you find these glands in the lizards as well as in the snakes. Okay, already we have discussed all this. Okay, the next is what the birds. Now coming to the birds, the skin of birds is actually similar to that of the other vertebrates, and it consists of stratum, epidermis, and dermis. But the skin here is very, very thin and loosely attached to achieve maximum freedom of movement for the flight. And modifications of the stratum corneum is other than it consists of feathers. You all know it includes horny sheaths of beaks. So beaks are present here. Scales are restricted only to the lower legs as well as the feet, webs as well as the base of the what do you say, the beaks. Okay. Then apart from this, like beaks, the claws are also present and they are adapted to different habitats. Rest of the body is actually covered by means of the feathers. And three usual types of feathers you find, that is a contour feathers, down feathers, and the pillow fruits. So this is about the, and apart from this, these what do you say, the birds also possess the uropygeal gland, okay, or the preen gland, which is present on the tail region. The next is the mammals. Now the mammals, the skin of mammals again is very, very elastic, waterproof, and it is the thickest of all vertebrates and variously modified. And it consists of again the same two layers, epidermis and dermis, have reached their highest specialization in mammals. So the thick epidermis actually is differentiated into 5 layers. Like now, until now we have seen actually the epidermis is thin, whereas the dermis was thick. But now when you talk about the mammals, in case of mammals here, you have got the epidermis is very thick, and it is differentiated into 5 layers, and these are called as stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, as well as the stratum germinativum or malphizian layer. And stratum corneum actually contains the keratin, which is particularly thicker on the palms and the soles, having maximum friction and wear and tear. So modifications of this stratum corneum actually will include the scales, heads, bristles, claws, nails, hooves, as well as the horns. Okay. Then next, mammalian skin also has a variety of glands, which are all multicellular. Now, 5 major types they say, like you have sebaceous glands are there, sweat glands are there, mammary glands are there, lacrimal glands, as well as the set glands. Of all these, mammary, sebaceous, and the sweat glands are found only in the mammals, but you don't find the mucus glands. Okay, do not occur in the epidermis of mammals. But the dermis of mammals actually is thicker, is okay, it is proportionately much thicker than in other vertebrates, except in armadillos, dermal scales do not occur. Okay. Then next, it also possesses the hair color. The hair color is nothing but due to the presence of the brown or the black pigment, which is present actually in the hair glands. Okay. So this is about the. Okay. Now, till now, we have seen the tegument or the skin, and not only we have tried to actually study the structure, okay, the functions, but also we also knew about the various the epidermal derivatives or the integument derivatives in different types of the the chordate animals. And also we have seen what are the variations, with reference to the integument or the skin in different animal, that is in different animals, or you can say in different chordate animals. We have seen in the starting from the the amphibians, reptiles, aves, as well as mammals. That is fishes, amphibians, reptiles, aves, and mammals. How do they differ? But the structure as well as the majority of the functions almost remains the same. Is it okay, students? Hello? Yes? Hello?
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Is it clear? So actually, if a question is being asked, diversity of integument with reference to vertebrates, then you need to talk about its first the functions, the structure. Okay, then what are the various derivatives that we have seen? Give a brief description of that, and then try to, give the diversity of this integument in different chordate animals. Okay, so one more PPT is there. I'll just try to focus that. You can just have a look. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Is it okay? Yes?
Okay, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Okay. So here one more, PPT is there. Hello. Are you listening, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. In this, it is very less. So that is the reason why I have not taken. But to have a clear idea of it, we will just go through it. But in the first one, what we have talked about, they have given in depth, in detail about not only the, the functions, the structure, and the integumentary derivatives, but also they have very clearly actually, shown us or given a, the diversity of this integument in different animal species that comes under the chordata. Okay. So here they have given the comparative, but it is very less. So that is the reason why I have not taken the structure. See, integumentary system in vertebrates. Okay. So what they have seen is it is nothing but integumentary system is nothing but a skin. It is an organ system that consists of the skin, hair, nails, as well as the various glands. That what already we have discussed. So we all know skin is nothing but the largest and the heaviest organ which is present in the body. It weighs about 6 pounds or more and is approximately 2 millimeters thick. They say it is thinner on the sensitive areas like eyelids and thicker on the surfaces that take more stress, like the soles of the feet and all those things. Okay, and 1 inch of the skin they contain nearly about 19 million cells. You see, 1 inch of the skin will contain about 19 million cells, and the skin actually is composed of what do you say, the 3 layers, which actually with the nerves that recognizes the different sensations in each layer. So the different sensations in each layer you can see. Okay, so what are the 3 layers? We have already seen, that is epidermis, dermis, and the hypodermis. So here they have given hypodermis. So epidermis is the outermost layer. It is a top layer, and this is a part of the skin that you can see and touch. You can feel the touch. You can feel the sense, and it is made up of 3 layers. Like you have melanocytes, keratinocytes, as well as you have the Langerhans. So it gives the skin the color and also provides a waterproof barrier. So the epidermis actually is very, very important. It is outermost layer, you can say. It possesses 3 types of cells. What are those? Melanocytes. You all know what are melanocytes. Melanocytes are nothing but produces the pigment. So because of this melanocyte pigment or melanocyte cells only, the color actually is being given to the body, the skin. So the skin actually will get its color because of this melanocytes. You all know. Then keratinocytes. Keratinocytes is nothing but the hair follicles. Okay, and you have a keratin pigment, which is very, very, tough in nature. So melanocytes, keratinocytes. Apart from that, you also have the Langerhans cells. So it will give the skin the color and also it provide a waterproof barrier. The next is what? Dermis. The middle layer, you call it as a dermis. And this layer actually is the thickest layer, and it contains the sweat glands as well as the oil glands and also the hair follicles. And you have a hypodermis, which is the bottom layer of the skin, you can say, or the lowest layer of the skin, you can say, the bottom layer. And it is the fatty layer of the skin, and it helps to insulate the body. It helps to insulate the body. Insulate the body means it acts actually as nothing but an insulator in regulating the body temperature. So whenever it is cool, you feel cool. When it is hot, you feel hot. So it tries to insulate the body. So it tries to actually regulate the body temperature between the internal environment to that of the external environment. So that is how actually the skin is divided into 3 layers. Outermost is the epidermis. Okay, then the middle is called as the dermis, and you have got the bottom layer, which is called as nothing but the hypodermis. So these 3 layers are being present in case of the skin. Now, when you talk about the integumentary system in case of vertebrates, I mean the different derivatives, you can say, you have hair. Now, what is hair? Already we have seen it is a hair is nothing but a thread-like outgrowth of the epidermis. So that covers the body. It provides insulation, it provides protection, and also sensory feedback. So the hair growth and the structure varies among the species, and also it will be influenced by the hormones of the environmental factors. So the hair is made up of, you all know, nothing but a protein called as keratin, and the hair consists of 3 parts. What are those? One is called as, just now we have seen, that is, it consists of hair shaft, hair follicle, and as well as the hair bulb. Okay, so the hair shaft is what? Nothing but the part of your hair you can see, touch, as also the style. Then the hair follicle is nothing but the tube-like structure that keeps your hair in your skin. And the hair bulb is nothing but located under your skin. Under your skin. Hair bulb is nothing but located under your skin. And also it is responsible for the hair growth. So this is how the hair actually not only acts as provides insulation, but also it protects the body and it consists of actually 3 parts. One is called as the hair shaft, hair follicle, as well as the hair. The next you have got the sebaceous glands. Now sebaceous glands actually are nothing but these are the glands. These produce the sebum or the oil, and it will give your face its oil. So because of this, it will give a glow. Okay, so sebaceous glands actually are nothing, these glands actually are produces an oil which is called as nothing but a sebum. Apart from this, you have ceruminous glands. These ceruminous glands again will secrete the earwax. Ceruminous glands actually are present in the ear and it will secrete the ear wax. Then you have mammary glands. Again, it is a characteristic feature of the mammals, you all know. So these are the glands actually which is present on the chest and it will actually help in the secretion of the milk which help for nourishing the babies during the childbirth. So this is the different, what do you say, the integuments. Now coming to the structure of an integumentary system same way. So here the structure of an integumentary system actually is nothing but an organ system that covers. So likewise, already we have seen, so we have the outermost is the epidermis, you have dermis and subcutaneous tissue, also called as the hypodermis. So here, actually, when you talk about this, what is the main role of the epidermis? The main role of the epidermis actually consists of stratified squamous epithelium, and this layer actually is responsible for producing the pigment which is called as melanin. Just now we have told you, okay? So which helps to protect the skin from the harmful UV radiation. Dermis actually is composed of what? It is composed of the connective tissue, okay? But here it is not squamous. It is not squamous, but it is what do you say, the cuboidal epithelium. And this layer actually contains the blood vessels, nerves, as well as the hair follicles and the sweat glands. Then apart from these, you also have the hypodermis, which is present beneath the skin, and it consists of the adipose tissue and loose connective tissue. And this layer contains again the large blood vessels as well as the nerves. So it acts as an insulating layer, okay, for the body. So this is about the structure. Now, derivatives of integument already we have seen just now. So depending upon the layer of the skin from which actually they have been derived, these epidermal derivatives, they have been classified as epidermal derivatives as well as the dermal derivatives. Already we have seen the epidermal derivatives. So they are of two types, epidermal glands as well as the epidermal scales and scutes. Epidermal glands actually are formed by the Panthigian layer of epidermis. Okay. And they include, but they invade the dermis. And epidermal scales and the scutes they are developed by, again, the accumulation of a protein which is called as keratin. And all the stratum corneum cells actually, they are cornified and they form a hard horny endoskeleton or a hard exoskeleton, sorry, in the form of scales, heads, beaks, horns, claws, nails, etc. in different vertebrate animals. So this is about the epidermal derivatives in the form of epidermal glands and in the form of epidermal scales as well as the scutes, you find this. Okay. Next, coming to the, what are the functions of the integumentary system? The various functions of the integumentary system are protection. Okay, so it acts as a barrier between the body as well as the environment. So hence it protects the body from not only from the animals but also from the physical, chemical as well as what do you say, the biological damage. And it also helps in thermoregulation, that is, it helps in the body temperature, that is, in regulating the body temperature. So the skin helps to regulate the body temperature by controlling the amount of heat loss that is being caused through the sweating and also the blood flow to the skin. The next is the sensory reception. So it also contains, since it contains the sensory nerves and all those things, so the sense actually will feel the touch. So because of the presence of these sensory receptors, and they will respond to the touch, pressure, temperature, as well as the pain, allowing us to sense and also to feel, respond to the environment. The next, the skin also helps in the production of vitamin D. The skin is capable of actually producing the vitamin D, which is very, very essential. So when our skin is exposed to light, okay, which comes from the sun's rays, so it helps not only, this vitamin D is essential for the bone health, you all know. So the synthesis of vitamin D with the help of the skin also plays a very, very major role. So the skin is actually capable of producing the vitamin D on exposure to the UV radiations actually that we receive from the sun. And you all know actually vitamin D is essential for the development of the bone. Next, immune defense. The skin also contains specialized immune cells in our body that help to defend against these pathogens as well as also prevent the infection. Then it also helps in the excretion. You all know actually we have seen that the skin possesses the sweat glands. And these sweat glands which are present in the skin will excrete the waste products, including the water and the salt. And the next special, the functions are the appearance of the skin, hair, as well as the nails also can be used for social communication, such as signaling of or activeness or for social status. So this is how actually the integumentary system or the skin or the integument helps the animals in the varied functions. So this is all about the skin or the integument. So today's topic was actually on the diversity of the organ systems. Okay. With reference to integument in the varied chordate animals or in the varied vertebrate animals. So here we need to talk about what is the skin or the integument, varied functions, then the structure of the integument, then talk about the various integumentary derivatives in the form of epidermal derivatives as well as the dermal derivatives, and what is the diversity, means how actually the skin is being present in each the group of the chordates, starting from the fishes to the mammals. Okay, is it okay, student? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Have you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then tomorrow. Okay, so you all wait for the class. Tomorrow you'll have a C3 class according to the schedule which is given in your link. Okay, so after that, sir will tell you at what time. The next class means after all 4 classes are over, I think in the evening you'll have. So try to attend that class.
Okay,
Okay?
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.